Quiet Belief in Angels, I mean, I was the very fortunate benefactor of the effects of the Richard and Judy Book Club in the United Kingdom. And we sold, probably in 6 months, something in the region of 250,000 copies of that in England alone. It's now gone well beyond that because the book has continued to sell. It's been translated now, I think, 20 languages. It recently came out in France and was tremendously successful. There's a magazine in France called Nouvelle Observateur, which is a very widely read, very popular current affairs magazine. And they decided to award a crime fiction prize, an inaugural crime fiction prize, and Quiet Belief in Angels won it. And I had to go to France and actually do an acceptance speech in French. And I don't speak French, but I had to, write a speech in French and practice it on the cat until I got confident. And then I went to France and actually gave this speech in front of 200 people from the publishing industry in a cinema in Paris. Anyway, the book has been tremendously successful and really sort of brought my name and the books I write to the attention of an awful lot more people, an awful lot more than had read them before. So subsequent books have obviously sold a lot better, have garnered a lot more attention. And the earlier books have been repackaged and represented, and people are now buying those in significant numbers. And also, Quiet Belief in Angels has been optioned for film, and I was asked by a French film director, the writer-director of a film called La Vie en Rose, a man called Olivier Dehaene. He read A Quiet Belief in Angels in French and sent me an email and asked whether or not I'd be interested in collaborating on a screenplay. And I went to Paris and met with him. We spent a couple of days together. And tremendous individual, extraordinarily talented. And we spent a couple of days talking about how the book could be transcribed into a screenplay, because the book is quite cerebral. And the fundamental difference between a book and a film is a book can be a lot about what people think and feel, whereas a movie is primarily about what people do and say. So, obviously we discussed at length how certain sections of the book that were very internal could be transcribed into a film scenario. And after the 2 or 3 days that we spent together, he decided that he didn't want to collaborate on the screenplay with me. He wanted me to do it by myself. So I came home and I wrote the screenplay, which he's now had for a while. He's been working on some other projects, and we shall see. We shall see whether or not the thing actually ever arrives on the silver screen. But it was an exciting thing to do. I can't say it was necessarily the most enjoyable thing I've ever done. I wouldn't say it was as enjoyable as writing a book, because it was more about what had to come out as opposed to what had to stay in. So a lot of cuts and a lot of sacrifices had to be made. But I was pleased to do it, and I was very happy with the end result, and now I'm just awaiting the verdict. But A Quiet Belief in Angels has been life-changing, there's no question about it, on many fronts. And it's a book I'm very proud of, and a book that I still get 15, 20, 25 emails a day about all over the world. Some of them in languages I don't even understand, Spanish and Italian and German and goodness knows what else, from people who've read the translations. So it's done wonders. And last week it was released. I actually have a copy here. This is the version that's just been released in the United States just a few days ago, literally. And in the early part of October, I'm over to the States for a fortnight to do a tour to support and promote the book, and I'm covering, I think, 12 cities in 12 days, something like that, which is going to be whirlwind and exhausting, but I'm sure great fun. And the American publisher is doing an extraordinary job. I think they printed something like 58,000 hardback copies in the first print run. So we shall see, fingers crossed, whether or not they sell.